The shop is pretty dirty from where I've just been working and not cleaning up after I work. I got really good about cleaning up behind myself as I worked, but just a couple projects, all it takes to get a small space completely dirty. So I've got tons of extra offcuts and wood that I just, like every other person who builds anything, never throws stuff away because you're sure that you're going to use it at some point. So I've got a ton of plywood offcuts. I've got pine board. I mean, mostly just like basically construction type lumber. I mean, there's some poplar blanks that I made for my CNC business where I was cutting really big chief heads, Air Force Indian chief heads. If you get promoted to E9, you become a chief. So I have blanks that I would glue up and then put down on my CNC and cut out. So you can see a little bit sort of what that looks like because I cut one out and didn't take the blank off. So this is probably, there's my hand for reference. I don't know. I want to say 15 by 15 or something close to that, 15 inches by 15 inches, but it's pretty big. I've got a ton of trim, some leftover flooring that I really need to just throw it away. All these random trim pieces that I don't need. Got a brand new vacuum that I need to set up for my saw. So this is a Harbor Freight special. I mean, this thing is from probably 2018. I just threw a Diablo blade on there, which makes a world of difference. What happened was the reason I need to get a different saw. It's not because the saw's not cutting great. I mean, it's not very accurate. I tried my best to set it up so that it's all dialed in, straight, plumb. But, even with doing that, it's not very accurate. So it's like you got a little bit of movement here. And a lot of movement here. And add that in with, I'm not a professional by any means. I'm a hobbyist, so it just ends up not being very straight cuts. And then when you're cutting miters, man, it can get those little tiny adjustments compound and it can just get way out of control. Thank God for caulk. So this piece for the guard broke a year ago, I think. So this safety piece is supposed to come all the way down here. Obviously, you see it does not. It's probably 6 inches too short to cover the whole blade. So I drilled a screw and put that piece in there so that it would provide some protection. Not crazy about this. Feels super sketchy every time I cut with it. This is like $100 saw. Maybe. I'm pretty sure they don't even make Chicago Electric. This was the base 12-inch saw when I got it. And I was just, starting out. So, I mean, really, you don't need much more than that. I mean, it does the same thing every other miter saw does. It's just the quality's not as good as the other miter saws. So anyways, I have to buy another miter saw. It's a safety thing. I look to try and just replace this piece. I guess since this saw is so cheap, you can't get a replacement piece. So saw's got to go away. Just keep my job site saw, my Hitachi set up. I love this thing. I mean, it's got a super big platform. I think this goes out to 30 inches, maybe. I think it is 30. But so I just throw a piece of MDF on top of here. I use it like another workstation. Here's my incredibly messy small tool cart. Need to organize that. There's my wood rack. You can't tell, but that side right there is about an inch too tall. No idea how I did that, but if you lay a piece of wood all the way across it, it'll warp the wood because that's too high up. So I have to take that down, move it down a little bit, so that, you know, it doesn't defeat the purpose of having a wood rack. I've got my laser, my chiller that runs the coolant through the laser. Haven't used that thing in forever. My Etsy business actually bought this, so it's not like I purchased it and then just never used it. I have used it. It's awesome, actually. Huge bed on it. Got the electric Z up and down, so it raises the work table up and down electrically. I don't have to crank it. My Etsy business bought it, and I had some products that I used that I would cut out with that. It's really good for engraving. So I've used it for that. Of course, I've got my original Shapeoko 3 CNC machine. This thing is a beast. I've still got the stock Z. I think the only belt that I have changed is the Z belt. So that belt that goes up and down through here. This is a quality machine. I mean, this thing it's cut a lot of projects. I was doing probably $10,000 a year profit with this machine in a small Etsy store with like 300 reviews. So if you've run a store, you know it's hard to get that many reviews. Oh. That down there in that box, I bought about, it's embarrassing, probably 2 years ago. And what it is a heavy duty Z-axis upgrade for my Shapeoko 3. And it helps you eliminate movement, I guess. It's a lot more structurally rigid. So your feeds and speeds. So what that means is how fast it goes into the material and moves through it. Like for this Z-axis, I mean, it runs pretty fast. Like you can move and push it pretty hard. But like, for instance, like if it would take, 5 minutes to cut this out, with the upgraded Z, that might drop it down to 3 minutes because you can push the machine harder and faster. So it go down deeper and move faster. So Carbide 3D, the parent company that owns Shapeoko, that machine is pretty old, several years old. I can't remember how old it is. At least, 6 or 7 years old probably. But they've got several newer machines out that have a lot more options and nicer build construction and blah blah blah. Now, other than that one, but this freaking grease on my hand. This was, I was afraid, not be available anymore. Let's be real, folks. Lag screws. Gosh, I just can't throw anything away. I'll put it in my hardware box. I was afraid that they weren't gonna make this anymore, so I bought it because I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity to own something that they just won't make anymore. So essentially, if you see, this is the upgraded Z. So instead of belts that run my Z up and down, it has a motor at the top and a screw. So a lot more rigid and just able to really chew through some material. Let's see. So let me show you on here. So these are belts, little rubber belts, and it's got motors right here. And those motors have a little gear, which I think you can see right there. And it's basically just like a sprocket, and it turns the belt. And then it's got these eccentric wheels that run on this V aluminum up and down. And you can tighten the wheels, have these eccentric screws and nuts that you can turn, and it tightens how much this moves. See how you can hear it. Hard to pick it up on camera, but it moves just ever so slightly. So with the motor at the top and the screw, it's a lot more rigid and just, I don't know, it's freaking cool. I really like my Shapeoko 3. I think it's an awesome machine, and I just, you know, wanted to make sure that I had the part before they got rid of it. So there it is, brand new, never hooked up. I will hook it up at some point, not sure when, but I mean, it's been in this box for, it's embarrassing, probably 2 years. Perfect condition, oiled up, no rust. Let's see, I don't know, honestly don't know if I've ever even opened the box. I bought it just because I was worried that they would stop selling it and I wouldn't be able to buy it, and then I'd be fear of missing out there. A bunch of hardware here. Let's see, problem is if I'm missing hardware, probably reach out this Carbide 3D, but man, I highly doubt they got what is that, the proximity switches? Yeah, I think this is the up and down proximity switch. Is that right? Oh yeah, that's what that is. So I'll show you what that is. So on this machine, there are mechanical switches, and let me see if I can find. Let's not break my machine. Yeah, there they are. Okay, so here it's a mechanical switch, and this axis goes back and forth, and when it hits that back metal piece, it says to the control board, I'm at the end of my travel, stop moving, and it goes and stops. So that's a mechanical switch, which people have said that they've had issues with mechanical switches. I've never replaced those. Been years and years and years. Never had an issue. But these are proximity, so like when it gets close to the end, it'll stop, versus having to have a mechanical functioning switch. I don't know. It is an upgrade. I don't know that it's 100% necessary, but it is cool to have. It takes out that mechanical possibility of breaking, even though mine have never broke. Nevertheless, still an upgrade. So that, yeah, it's been sitting in the box for 2 years, and I will install it at some point, just not sure when. So that's my shop. Look at that dust, it's ridiculous. Over years. Here's my laptop that, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've turned this on in 6 months. Hey, there it goes. Then underneath I've got my dust extraction for my CNC. host of things that are unorganized. It's a shame. That's my shop right now. I need to get it cleaned up. Yeah. Thanks for watching.